for him to tell authorities that she died from liver failure, and at first to say that she was missing, and then to say, "Oh, I lied about that. Actually, she just asked for money and said she wanted to leave the marriage." I mean, this is crazy. Mike was finally arrested.
I mean, my thing. Sorry,
Mhm.
sorry to interrupt you, but my thing is, if I'm gonna say all of that, maybe not just dump her body in the middle of a road where anybody could drive up and see it.
Mhm.
Maybe.
Well, no, 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 no. She wasn't in the middle of the road. That's why at first they couldn't find. See, at first the authorities they were looking, but because that area is known for so many wild animals as well, they would run into dead animals. And if you're not very well versed in,
I don't know why I thought she was just sitting in the middle of the road.
no, 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 no. She was kind. They didn't say she was in the thick of the woods, but she was definitely in the woods because the first few times investigators thought they were onto something. An expert that had more experience, a forensics expert, would come in and say, "Nope, nope, nope. There's another false alarm. You know that no, that's not human." They're like, "Oh yeah, it's a human skull." No, it's not. How do you know? Because the teeth are like you can see certain things. So they were getting frustrated. So she was, and I mean, it's like I don't know. When he dumped, no, this is the part that didn't make any sense though. They said that he dumped her body in a lake nearby, but if anything, she could have been washed. I don't know how you wash back up in a lake. It's not a beach. But by the time they found
I
her,
mean, the lake still has what do you call it? Currents. It still has currents, so you could still wash up.
well, that's probably what happened because when they did find her, by the time they found her, she was still on ground or on land. In it's kind of like leaves, bushes, all of that. Obviously, they can still tell that she had been dumped in the lake after she was beaten. Forensics can tell all of this. But yeah, so his motive was blackmail. Because he was blackmail. Well, I guess is I consider blackmail or extortion stealing all that money from an innocent disabled client that's supposed to be your friend, and then the fact that his wife was threatening to tell authorities of his secret that he was hiding. He felt like he had to kill her because he wanted to continue to take in the end millions of dollars, the entire trust from Sam Lee. You see, that was what his plan was. So when he was finally arrested, for some reason this is how they have the date of arrest. They have October 1979. I don't know why it says no. That wasn't that. I'm sorry. That was something else. I think they were looking at some other information. But yeah. So anyway, but yeah, she was 44 when she died, and when he before he was sentenced, they made a. I don't know why, but the authorities in Alaska made a deal with him that if he would provide information about what he was doing to Sam and the information on Sam's account, because remember he's really like an executor at this point, and they would lessen some of his sentence. I really don't see how one has to do with the other. I don't really understand that. I mean, how do you do that? How do you? Oh, you're just going to give me 20 years? Okay, okay, great. So if I tell you what my plan was to take millions and eventually from my client, then you're going to shave off like 20 years off my sentence. Do you know?
Yeah, that's. I don't even like when they do deals with people. Like they're guilty and you do a deal to shave off some time, or I don't like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. I totally agree because you're not going to believe this, Kai. This man got off with a 20-year sentence. And once again, the authorities,
Wow.
they lessened his sentence by his providing information regarding the extortion from his client, Sam Lee. Great.
What was the reasoning behind that? Did the family say go ahead and do that, or I'm trying to figure out the reasoning behind that?
Now, when you say the family, you mean Sam Lee's family? Because Sam Lee was not murdered. He's the innocent, the trust fund owner that's mentally disabled. And you see, so
Right, but I'm trying to figure out what were the cops' motives in giving him time off for I don't know. Okay.
I don't know if that's what I'm saying. I don't see what one has to do with the other. Now, the sentencing, I get one has to do with the other. I see how that's connected because when you're sentenced, if you robbed a bank, right, and then you shot up 10 people, and then you blew up a building, you're still going to be tried all together for especially if you were arrested at one particular time, and then they discover, oh, during the course of this time you did this, you did this, you did that. I understand how all the crimes come together. You know what I mean? I get that part, and I get how it's connected to your to your actual, I guess, to your sentencing itself, because this crime carries this many years, that crime carries this many years. But what is it? But what is, what does shaving your time off have to do with, like, you murdered someone? Why don't you just get time for that, then get time for the extortion? You know. So it's,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
It
and
just,
I mean,
I don't know. The sentencing doesn't make sense to me.
it doesn't make sense, and I don't know if it's because maybe Alaska doesn't have as many murders as we thought. Maybe they just haven't dealt with something. Maybe this is the first time something like this has happened in this manner. I mean, who knows? I mean,
Well,
it's
just because it's the first time something like this has happened, or in this manner, doesn't mean you treat it poorly. There was still a victim. You still have to pay for it.
I agree. But what if you're a judge? But if your judge is not as experienced with these types of cases, you know? I mean, I don't know. It's like I'm picturing the average murder being someone that was accidentally shot when it's not hunting season. And in their defense, oh, I have a
But
hunting.
that's not murder, it's an accident.
No, 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 no. I'm saying using that defense when actually they took the person out to the wilderness to kill them or something like that. I don't.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so I'm saying maybe this isn't something that they're as familiar with, but for whatever reason, to me he just got off scot free. 20 years.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. It really is. Yeah. So again, that was his motive. It was the black. Well, I can't call it blackmail because his wife isn't alive to be blackmailed. Because it's like you're threatening to tell to tell my secret. So take $100,000. That's blackmail. So extortion is, we're going to pretend that we love this client, be very close to him. I'll become the executor over your estate. I can take anything and everything that I want. I'm totally taking advantage of you. And you're mentally disabled, and you've had some substance abuse issues. I mean, this is crazy. So Ky, if any of our listeners, as always, if they're interested in following this story a little further, there is a movie on that you can look up on Oxygen called Missing in Alaska. And just to get a little deeper, maybe you'll see some.
Oh, wow. They made a movie about this?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I might have exaggerated a little bit. Our story, it's kind of like I guess it's a documentary, but really it is dramatic. So, I mean, it's, some of our cases are more made for TV movies, or they're movies that are purposely movies. They're not just documentaries. This is probably more like a documentary, but it is a drama. So if anyone wants to follow and get a little bit more information, you can actually find that on Oxygen. Do you have any last thoughts, Ky, on this case?
I don't like the ending.
I
That's
know.
my last thoughts. I don't like the ending at all.
I don't like
So, like, is he still in prison? Did he die in prison, or what happened?
Well, yes, he's still in prison. They didn't say that he died in prison, so it was only 2010, as a matter of fact. I mean, this is 2020. He's got 10
I
more years.
mean, that doesn't mean anything. He's in prison. He could have been shanked. He could have been hung. He could
Well,
have been
that's
thrown
true.
off the
That's true. But
balcony.
no. They didn't say that he died. So he's still serving his time. But it's not like he's getting out on good behavior or anything. That's not happening. you know. I didn't like the fact that he lied 3 different ways about her death, and he was such a coward. It's just such a coward. Like, how do you do that? How do you say your wife's missing? Okay, that's been done before, and you know that you killed her. But to blame it on
Well, everybody. Well, I don't want to say everybody. Most people who do that, that's what they say. They, even women. My husband's missing. Oh, my kids missing. Oh, and then you do research and you found out they murdered them.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying it's been done before. But then he stepped it up a notch, though, remember? Then he calls back and says, he literally calls the authorities and says, because he knew they were going to be onto him. Oh, actually, the only reason I lied to you was because I was so embarrassed and ashamed about how bad things have gotten with her substance abuse. She asked me for some money, and I just said, okay, here, take $10,000. That's what she wanted. And she went about her merry way in life. Then it's discovered, like, later, like, you beat her to death. But before that happened, Before that happened, he told another lie. The third lie to the authorities was, okay, I know I told you that I gave her money to leave, but the truth was she died from liver failure after decades of substance abuse, and I had her cremated. I mean, even
Dude, you need to pick a story and stick to it.
and
Like,
stick
for
to it.
real.
Exactly. Pick a story and stick with it. I mean, that's crazy. Like fake ashes, fake urn. I mean, it's
Fake tears, fake stories, fake personality, fake person.
yeah, exactly. So that's what I've got for us today, Kai. I think it was definitely an interesting story. Alaska was something unique. We haven't talked about anything that's happened there yet, so this is a first for me learning a little bit more about that state. Um, do we have any relationship questions today at all that we're
Well,
going
well, no, we're gonna save the relationship questions for bonus episodes. But what I wanted to say is,
to? Hmm.
like, our listeners, if anybody lives in Alaska or has been to Alaska, what I hear is that it's not. I don't want to say it's not safe up there, but this is what I hear. So don't jump down my throat. It's just what I hear, and I'm asking a question. I hear it's not safe for like single women to go up there by themselves, and because the crime rate, I guess, towards single women, is huge or big. I don't know. A lot happens. A lot. I don't know what word to use.
Hmm.
But again, this is not me saying it. This is just me asking you, like, is this true? Is it not? Is it people who don't know what they're talking about, exaggerating about this? And so this is the question that I have about Alaska, because I want to go. I want to see the northern lights. I want to see it being dark for 6 months and being light for 6 months. I think that's like a really amazing phenomena, and I want to witness it. But this is stuff that I've heard from multiple people, and I just
Yeah,
want to know.
absolutely.
Um,
I have to agree. I have as well, though. Um, well, Kai, I have a really good friend that just relocated to Alaska, a single mom. She took one of her children there with her, left two of the kids here in New Mexico. She's a school teacher, and she
why
went there.
would you leave your kids?
Well, I don't know. She split the kids up, but I don't know how she did that. But they were young too. I want to say 12, 13, 12, 13, and then well, the third kid is completely grown. So I don't know what my point was, but the third kid that's completely grown is will take care of the younger one that stayed, and then the other one, which is really just a year older than his brother, he actually went with her to Alaska. But she's a teacher, and so she's there as a single woman, and she's only been there for less than 2 or 3 months. And so far, she absolutely loves it. But she's probably not spending a lot of time in areas where she's not safe. She's probably spending a lot of time in her home there because of not only because of distancing, but as a teacher, they're working remote, on their computer from their homes as well. So, it's just, I mean, when I talk to her every week, and so far she loves it. But I definitely heard the same statistic that you did years ago, a few times actually. So it's not going to stop me from visiting one day, or maybe take a cruise there. That might be fun.
Yeah, no, me and cruises, you already know that's not happening.
Kai would
So
jump
let
off
me
the
tell
boat.
y'all a quick story because y'all probably can hear the background. So before we came on, somebody decided to mow their lawn on Char's end. So we had to wait a bit of a time before we could even record because then you would hear the lawnmower. So we've recorded this entire show and we're about to wrap up. And then somebody decides to start mowing the lawn right outside my window. So we
Okay.
we
So
wasted
wait,
time trying to avoid this lawnmower sound, and here it is
in
anyway.
Mexico. Yeah.
Good
So
Lord.
okay, so our listeners are really, if they're really, really following this, I'm in New Mexico once again, and Kai is not. She's on the East Coast, way on the other side of the country.
Yeah, I'm all the way on the other side of the country, and
On the
people
other
are
side of the
deciding
country.
to mow the lawns on the same
Yeah,
day at the same time. Oh my God.
that's really funny because my guy, I literally said, Kai, do you think maybe I should yell out of my window and say, hey, buddy, how much longer you got with that? Or what is it
And
to
I was
you?
like, don't worry. I was like, don't worry. We'll just wait. So when it quieted
Yeah.
down, we're like, okay, let's start recording. We went through an hour of a show, and towards the end, somebody starts mowing the lawn right outside my window.
That's really, I thought I heard it, but I thought my guy had stopped and we have a beautiful lawn left. I thought that was like 40 minutes ago. I'm like, why?